Roll for Crits returning to Bezier Silver series with the newest entry, Silver Coin. Similar to Silver Bullet, this is a standalone series that you can play just with the Silver Coin set or mixed with other games in the Silver line.
Yes, the rules are exactly the same as the other Silver games. Each player will have a village made up of 5 face-down cards, and over the course of the game, you're going to be trying to figure out what those cards are according to different abilities of special cards that you can play, and ultimately you want to end up with the village that has the lowest points total among all of the cards in it at the end of the round. There's 4 rounds, and then you see who has the lowest score at the end of the game. As I said, this is exactly the same, but all of the cards are new. They have brand new abilities. They all work differently, with perhaps some carryover from some of the other abilities from the previous titles. And another big addition to this one is the coin. So in the other games, you had a bullet or an amulet, and the person who won a round would get control of it. And it has a special ability. Works the same way here, but that coin does something a little bit different.
That's right. When you get it, you'll put it face up, and anytime you can flip it over to the tail side and flip any card on the board. That means if it's face down, you can flip it face up, or if it's face up, flip it face down. And it does not need to be from your village.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with Silver, of course, some cards have abilities that require them to be face up, or you might want to just confuse someone by turning their card face down so they don't know which one it is. Again, go check out our review video if you want a full rundown of exactly how that game works.
Yeah, this video we were a little unsure whether to make it an expansion video or a full review, because honestly, our crits and misses, I think, even though the cards are different and have some really interesting twists on it, overall, the crits and misses are probably going to be the same.
Yes, it really is the same gameplay. But so go back and look at those. If you're curious about whether or not you should buy any Silver, maybe watch that first. But in particular, this one, we can talk about how we feel about the individual new cards they added. There are some interesting ones.
It feels a bit more complicated, and there are some weird ways where you can actually destroy your entire village using both the curator and the assassin, which is very interesting. And also the 0 and 13, your highest and lowest scores, they work if they're face up. So it's this, are you willing to have them face up so people know they're there for them to trigger their really strong abilities?
Right, so the 0 card is the re-gifter. If you have that face up, you get to give someone else one of your cards at the end of the game. So you might have a really high scoring card that's bad, but if you keep it and you risk keeping it and you think you can get this around for the end, you could really mess up someone else's day by giving that to them.
Meanwhile, the Wolfman can give 13 points, but if the rest of your cards don't have to 13, he's the same value as the regifter, 0. So that's another little fun thing. Like, I'll keep this face up and no one probably will take it. If no one gives me anything high, I'll be safe with it.
Yes, it's all about the risk reward and kind of pressing your luck, but not a press your luck game. But you are, I want to put this out there and just hopefully no one else gets the card that lets them mess with me this round. You mentioned the con artist. That one is really interesting. If you have that face up, you can then flip it face down and it'll give you an extra turn immediately.
And in one of our matches, you had like 5 turns in a row because you had 2 of them. You're just going like face up, face down, face up, face down.
Yeah, it was a whole big chain, which was pretty ridiculous. So obviously, those can be really powerful.
Yeah, you're usually not the guy who chains.
I usually don't do that in games, and they're only 1 point value, so it's like an awesome card. And there's some other just generally good ones. The Psychic that lets you look at any 3 cards. There's also the Nostra over here, lets you view all the cards in 1 village. Those are also interesting because they don't specify yours. So again, you can decide, do I want to look at someone else's cards? What am I trying to figure out that they have, etc. Nosferatu is also kind of interesting. He lets you look at the top 3 cards of the discard pile and use one of their abilities that you normally wouldn't be able to use. So if I think this is a set of cards that does reward tracking, and if there's something you really want to do and you couldn't, it's in there.
Well, I think for me, this is a much more aggressive set. A lot of these abilities will say look or flip a card, but don't specify your village. So this seems to be a lot more of, how do I mess around with other people and maybe force people to take more gambles? Because, for example, the village idiot was one that somehow always everyone used.
Oh, that village idiot was rough.
Pretty much everyone, you pass a card clockwise or counterclockwise, more or less. But you get to choose each card that goes that way. So if you know, like, if they read these 2 cards, you can just make sure you swap that so they don't know all the cards anymore. And that can be a really weird twist because you're like, okay, so everyone's messing around. Do I want to look at my own or look at theirs so I know what they can pass my way.
Yeah, like you said, I think the effects of these one overall are a little bit more complex than the earlier sets. I think they're, seeing probably at this point you have played one of the other ones, so we can get a little bit more in depth with these. I do think that in comparison to Bullet, at least, I think Bullet was a little bit more chaotic. I think it had a couple more cards that.
You think of the troll?
Yeah, like the Gremlin. I believe it is.
Gremlin.
Same thing, really.
There will be a troll, I'm sure. If not,
yeah, if there isn't already, I don't remember. But yeah, so there's more stuff about like moving things around, which this does have a little bit of. But I do think this one, like I said, is a little bit more like if you're good at keeping track of information, you might be rewarded a little bit better here. And I will say I do really like the coin. I think
I was gonna say I think my coin is my favorite.
Yeah, of the three different powers. Yeah, I agree. Being able to flip something up or down.
Well, because it can also be your opponent's stuff too, which I think that way there's just that enough. And the protection is sort of like, here, I'm just protecting this so you know it's good.
Right.
And the bullet killing something is a bit more interesting, but I think the flip is a lot more fun.
Yeah, you can flip it. So we have a system here at Roll for Crit. We say for an expansion, it is one of 3 ratings. It's either a buy it, a try it, or a pass. I'll go first. For me, I felt that this is, I think I'm going to say try it. What I will say is, I definitely think if you're looking to buy a silver set, I wouldn't recommend starting with this one. I would really recommend with, honestly, just the original silver.
I was actually going to say mine's a bit more complicated. I think the first one would be try it, because honestly, I think base silver is the best one to buy. Now, if you really like that and want to start mixing things, then I actually would definitely say this is buy it. I think this adds a lot of interesting, complex cards and stuff. I think the coin is one of my favorites. So if you really do love the silver system, I think this is definitely then a great one to add to the collection. Just maybe not the first one.
In general, also because you can mix all these sets with which numbers you like. So this is definitely a set that I could see, like, I don't know that I love playing with just silver coin, but there's definitely 4 or 5 of these that I would mix with the other sets.
You can have a lot more fun, and then, like I said, the coin is great. So that's why, to me, it's a try it until you like silver, then it's a buy it.
Yeah, we're very diplomatic here at Roll for Crit. So that's silver coin, and hopefully it will be available soon. You can look for it. Maybe you've had a chance to try it, and we'd like to hear from you. What's your favorite silver set, and which of these abilities and cards do you prefer? Talk to us in that comment section. Until next time, until another silver game comes out, who knows how many there are going to be at this point. They're not slowing down. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
This is Roll for Crit.
Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and support us on Patreon. That would make us happy.
Maybe the next video is the one where Jonathan does a silly dance.